Hi there, welcome back to 52 Weeks of Vlogging. It's Saturday, August 10th, and I want to talk about classics. Specifically, classics like these, which I have next to me on the bookshelf. I've got Heidi, which is a classic, Black Beauty, Robin Hood, Peter Pan, The Swiss Family Robinson, this one, all that stuff. All the, classics, like those books that were already classics when we were kids. I'm talking about those. Because the thing is, when I had my own kids, I decided that I loved the classics, and so I should give the classics to them too and make them those wonderful books that I loved in childhood available to the kidlets. And then I did that, and kidlet number one picked up some of those books and was like, wow, mind blown. And then he picked up this book, A Wrinkle in Time, and was like, yeah, actually that was really boring. I didn't want to finish it. What? I, being the perceptive mother that I am, naturally took this as the obvious sign that it was that kidlet number one just wasn't reading it right. So we decided to tackle some classics together as our bedtime reading. And we started with At the Back of the North Wind. I loved At the Back of the North Wind when I was a kid. I remember dreaming of getting on the North Wind's back myself and wishing that I could ride at the back of the North Wind, and just feeling that it was such a magical book and such an amazing story. So I was really looking forward to reading it with the kidlet. Until we did. Oh my god, snooze fest. This is one of those books that I just really made me question why this even became a classic in the first place. There are long, whoops, I just ripped the cover off, oh well. There are conversations that don't go anywhere and don't seem to have any point. The kid Diamond talks like what a grown-up who has never had kids might think that a kid would talk like. Description, description, description. I actually wanted to give up on it more than he did. And then I started wondering about the other classics. So I picked up the one that he had picked up and said that bored him. This one, A Wrinkle in Time by Madeline L'Engle. Charles Wallace nodded serenely. I thought Mother might like some. I might like what? A voice said, and there was their mother standing in the doorway. Cocoa, Charles Wallace said. Would you like a liverwurst and cream cheese sandwich? I'll be happy to make you one. Yeah, I still love this actually. I think what I like about it is that they're all just so weird. This is something that has just the right amount of dialogue and description. This is something that I think is paced really well. The conversations are interesting, and there's just enough intrigue to do with the missing father and the girl being worried about the hurricane and the two kids being so smart. At least we think they're so smart. I want to know what her parents do for a living because I don't remember from when I read the book before, and I want to know what is going to happen. So yeah, this one's still a winner. And a while ago, the kidlet and I read The Hobbit together, which we loved. Anne of Avonlea? I don't know. Don't tell her about Mr. Harrison and the cow, implored Anne. It's not badly written. It is very well written, even by today's standards, which are obviously completely different from the standards when a lot of these other books were written. But it's not very interesting, at least not to me. The Swiss Family Robinson is at least interesting. There's stuff happening in this book, like all the time. This is like the adventure movie of books. And I think that in itself is enough to get past the oldie fogey language. Peter Pan is kind of boring. There's not a lot of white space, and also some of the things they say are just weird. In the second paragraph, they say, of course, they lived at 14, and it's like, what are you talking about? It actually took me reading that 4 times to figure out that they meant that their house number was number 14. And that's what they meant. I don't want to have to work that hard. There's a lot of setup that happens in old books, like Heidi, The Back of the North Wind, Robin Hood, Peter Pan. There's always like a page or two of description. I don't know. I can't figure out if it's because the way it's written is just not the way we talk and think anymore, or if it's because of something else, but it just doesn't grab me in the same way. Little Women. I loved this when I was a kid. I bet I'll still like it now. Okay, I don't like it now. Mostly, I don't really care. I mean, I like Jo in retrospect. I remember loving Jo and really identifying with her. I remember feeling that Meg was too responsible and boring, and that Beth was sweet, and that even though I identified with Jo, I wanted to be Beth. I hated Amy's guts. But now reading it, I just actually don't want to read it. I mean, 4 broke sisters sitting around the parlor moaning about being poor and Christmas coming and not seeing their dad. Yawn. And that's not to say that the story itself isn't worth telling, but I think the way it's told is just so different from the way we're used to stories being told now. I wonder if teenagers nowadays would really enjoy reading Little Women without their mother or someone else saying, oh, I loved this when I was a child, stick with it, I promise you'll love it, you'll think it's fantastic. These books were all on the dollar shelf at the bookstore, and I wonder if there's a reason for that. I wonder if it's because they're written in a way that doesn't necessarily appeal to kids anymore. I wonder how many of these classics are still available at the bookstore just because somebody a long time ago decided they were classics. I'm really curious to hear what you have to say about that. As for me, I'm currently reading The Princess Bride with the Kidlit, but when we finish, I think we're gonna give this book a try again. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.